Boom, boom, boom. Let everybody come on into the show here. And away we go. Broncos country, Wednesday night, approximately 1 week from the NFL draft. Man, Tom, time is flying by. The Broncos have a pivotal decision to make in the first round. They've got a first round running back here in Denver today. We've got a lot to get into. How are we feeling week before the draft? Tom, talk to me.
Well, it's nice not to have to worry about who's going to be the quarterback, or are they going to pick one in this draft? So, I mean, we just talked about that before we got on. It's nice to not to worry about whether or not there's a quarterback needed in the Mile High City
or anything, right? Like, yeah, we're not hunting one. We're not looking for controversies. None of that. What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday night. Big hello to our guy, Mike Thompson, joining us tonight. He's Thomas Hall. I'm Luke Patterson. Join with us as always. Scott Kennedy on the ones and twos. We rock with you every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain. We're here to talk Broncos offseason, the draft specifically. We could get into free agency. We're going to get into the draft rumor mill. Who knows? This show is up for anything and everything. That's why I love doing it with you, Tom. If you'd like to get at Tom over on X, that's at Thomas Hall NFL. If you'd like to reach out to Scott, at Scout Kennedy. Yours truly is at Luke Patterson LP. Don't forget to head on over to milehighhuddle.com and read our latest. Tom, it's all about the running back, it seems, right? In the first round for the Denver Broncos. The tight end conversation is cool just a little bit because some guy named Evan Ingram signed. Supposedly turned everybody else down to come to the Broncos, right? And I'm being facetious, 3-4 other teams. But Evan Ingram, we're asking ourselves, is he the unicorn / Joker, right? Sean Payton was talking about. He's always regurgitating. We haven't heard a lot of those Joker words since Evan Ingram was signed. Then again, we haven't heard from Coach Payton. Tom, is it going to be a running back next week in the first round? Because a first round running back is here. I don't know if you saw the news, right? Your guy, Ohio State, man. What do you, we're going to talk about these running backs before we get into that. But Tom, how are we feeling a week out running back? It's got to be the position, right?
Well, I think that's the position that they need to find in order to really create an impact for the offense. I mean, whether they do it or not is a different story, but that's the one key element that's missing after they signed. I mean, I would like to see another wide receiver, a true number one, but after they signed Evan Ingram, that took care of the tight end position for temporarily. They still need to look to the future, but really they didn't address the running back spot. Javonte Williams is gone. They just have a bunch of guys and no real difference maker in the backfield. So all signs are pointing to being running back, but whether they do draft running back, we won't know until next Thursday night.
Bingo. TreyVeyon Henderson is in the house. He is in Denver, Colorado today for a visit with your Denver Broncos. National champion TreyVeyon Henderson, that is. Team captain, 4.43 in the 40-yard dash. An absolute bull when it comes to running the ball, when it comes to catching the ball. A bona fide player. I mean, this guy is going to make a team better as soon as he hops on. I want to know where Broncos country thinks about this guy. TreyVeyon Henderson, Ohio State. Now, a lot of folks say you could get Judkins, right? Another Ohio State back, national champ. You could get Judkins maybe in round 2. Hell, some folks I really respect and call my friends consider Henderson a day 2 pick. It all depends on what teams want. I don't know, man. I'm feeling pretty good, pretty strong about the running back position. I'm liking that Henderson is here visiting the Denver Broncos. I don't know if it's one of those things where the Broncos are taking a heavy interest in 5 of these running backs at the very top of the charts, or if they're making the rounds as more of a gamesmanship, right? We got to talk to everybody so teams don't know where we're zeroing in.
Yeah, there could be a little bit of that. But, I mean, when you look at Henderson, he seems like a pretty good fit for the Sean Payton style of offense. Now, I don't like to draft solely on whether they fit or they don't fit because, even Bill Belichick was 2 losing seasons away from getting the can. So
hey, watch your mouth. Bill Belichick has 22-year-old girlfriends that's running the show.
Yeah.
North Carolina. Can you believe that, Tom? I had to get that in there while I could.
Yeah. That's an interesting relationship, but
still winning.
But I'll just say he seems to fit that offense pretty well. So I can understand why they're interested in him. He's got all the tools to, running, receiving, that joker, so to speak. Who knows if that's what he's going to be, but he has the skills to be a really good player in this offense. And when you look at Bo Nix, a lot of folks were saying he wasn't worth that high of a pick. We all know he was now, but a lot of the reason why he was worth it is because he really fit well with Sean Payton's offense. So they may be looking to get Henderson earlier than a lot of people think that they should.
I like Henderson a lot. Our good friend Cecil Lammy stopped by the show in the scouting combine, raved about both of these Ohio State running backs. Then again, this is also being touted as like the best running back class ever. Well, I don't know. That got to make you feel pretty good and deep, right, at the position. Maybe you could get another one. I don't know about that Scatabo fellow. We'll get into him a little bit later. David Yonkin, good friend of the show every Wednesday night. Every night, David's rocking with us here on the MHH airwaves. Listen, guys, I still can't believe that some people are willing to sell their souls for just one player. That one player David is talking about is Ashton Jeanty. Man, Ashton Jeanty was at the top of the news today. I don't know if you saw, Tom, but the young running back out of Boise State penned a letter to all 32 teams trying to make an impression that he is a can't-miss prospect. You won't be sorry if you draft this man. Hell, we'll get into the Ashton Jeanty letter. I'm here for that. What do you think about that, Tom? Because at one point in time, way early on in this process, I'm talking January, I'm thinking, I wonder if the Broncos maybe there'd be a slip there. Maybe there was some criticism after the bowl series, right? Some of that. No, this man's stock is red hot. Some teams consider him the second best player in the draft, top 3, top 4. I mean, it's all perspective, right? There's 32 of these teams out here. I'd be all right with it. If I'm going to be honest, David, what are we talking? What's the cost? I'm interested in just getting there. I want to be curious what it would take to move from 20 to what? Are we talking? I used to talk top 10. Tom, is it going to be 20 to top 5 if you even want to get in the conversation for an Ashton Jeanty from Boise State?
If it is, that'd be too rich for my blood because it's going to take a lot to get up there to get Jeanty. And like David said, you don't want to sell everything to go get a running back. I mean, obviously Mike Ditka went and did it for Ricky Williams and that didn't work out so well for him. But I mean, Jeanty it's kind of strange that he penned a letter because I mean, he is obviously the best running back in this draft from all what you can see. Now, obviously you never know what's going to happen in the NFL, but he looks the part. He's played the part. He has done everything that he needed to do to be as drafted as high as, he could possibly be already. So penning that letter kind of almost feels strange. Like why do it in my mind? But yeah,
I like it. I like
the
letter. I'll push back on the letter. If you let me for just a second, okay. I push back on that, and here's why. I agree with you. It's not my style. It's not your style. I don't think it's something we would advise somebody to do. But on the other hand, you have to respect a young man that's going out there to market himself. Yeah, he's got a sports agent. Yeah, he's got an X account. But hey, man, you're going to put pen to paper. You're going to write something. You're not just going to tweet your favorite team's colors or change your profile to that. It's something different. Now, it's not the first time a player's penned a letter, right, and made it public, but I think it was a smart move. I think it only adds to his popularity. It doesn't hurt the man one damn bit.
Well, I mean, obviously his play on the field and his testing and all of that can override pretty much unless there's some major off the field trouble that happens before the draft. I just don't, I don't think that it's going to make any difference. I think he's going to go where he's going to go, whether that letter was out there or not. Now it does take show initiative. It shows that he's willing to do a little bit extra. So, I mean, I could kind of see it, but at this point, I don't know what it does. And I think he's kind of locked in where he's going to be. Now, would it change one team from not passing on him so that he is drafted higher and gets that extra dollars? Then sure. I mean, it was well worth writing a letter that you can copy and send to 32 teams. So you never know what could happen, but I just don't know why it was necessary at this point.
You know why it was necessary? What if Ashton Jeanty wants to become a Denver Bronco, Tom? How about that? That just hit me for a second. You know why that just hit me? I was reading Keith Cummings, our guy over at milehighhuddle.com. I was reading his latest article, front page news, about Ashton Jeanty and his possibility of coming to the Denver Broncos. And remember, Ashton Jeanty's been on record saying the Denver Broncos were very heavy on me, and the Raiders were also very heavy. Even while all the running backs were doing drills at the combine, even though I wasn't competing, they were talking to me the whole time. Maybe this is a running back trying to tell a team that he loves, come and get me. And if you don't, all these other teams are going to come get me. Hell, I'm sure Ashton Jeanty has a top 5 of his own, right? We're talking top 5 running backs. You don't think Ashton Jeanty has a list of top 5 teams that he wants to go to? Nobody wants to go to the Cleveland Browns, all right? No, don't want to do that. You end up there and you might get paid there, enjoy the rest of your career. Myles Garrett. But if you have an opportunity, if you have some sort of leverage, and we'll get into the Travis Hunter leverage too. I don't know if you saw, I'm going to retire if they don't let me play wide receiver and corner. No, you're not. No, you're not, Travis. And we all know it. We call your bluff. David, another David, back-to-back David crime. Appreciate your support, guys. Good evening, Broncos country. Luke, Tom, and Deacon Scott. Let's go. Bo, MHH for life. Here's what we need, boys. 2 running backs, 1 tight end, a wide receiver, and 2 defensive linemen. That is my wish list. Sign me up, David. I am all about those 2 defensive linemen, but we're the big dogs on offense. We need to develop some of those O-linemen as well. We cannot forget about that. Running backs, man. Ashton Jeanty, David, I'm going to piggyback on this a little bit because I'm wondering if David wants the Broncos to go running backs because you listed running back first. Here's a reason I would make. If Ashton Jeanty is Sean Payton's guy, you know why you move heaven and earth to go get him? And I know he's not a quarterback. You know why, if you're Sean Payton? Because you can't get out of your own way. You can't run the ball in the 2024 football season. So you wrote it on a notepad for all of us to read on Thursday Night Football last year. You can't get out of your own way. Do you want Bo Nix to continue to be the leading rusher of your football team? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with Bo averaging 4.7 yards per carry? He had the longest rush of the year, 32 yards. Are we good with that? No. Is he Lamar Jackson? Are we going to go for an MVP candidate? Or are we trying to go somewhere in the playoffs? Bo Nix recorded 41 first downs. He was arguably the leading rusher. Go look it up. Javonte Williams. Yeah, he had 90 more yards. Bo Nix was the leading rusher of this football team, and that can't happen. I'm wondering if Sean has talked himself into, man, if I go and get this guy, maybe it's Ashton Jeanty, maybe it's somebody else. If I get that guy, they're going to help me with my biggest problem, my ego and me not getting out of my own way when it comes to offensive play calling.
Well, exactly. I mean, if you have a shiny new running back that you think is a difference maker, you're going to use him, not sit him on the bench while you pass 45 times. So I agree with you on that. It just depends on how far you have to go up in order to get that player. If it's 6 or 7 positions, okay, now we're talking that's a possibility. But if it's you got to go from 20 to 5, that's a pretty big haul you got to give away for someone who is a running back. If it's a running back that has a very short lifespan in the NFL, I don't know if it's worth moving that far.
Scott, how do you feel about the running back class next year? Quick thumb. Yeah, so. How do you feel about the running back class this year? Pretty good. That's why you go and trade up for him. And a lot of folks, and I knew Scott would be one of them that I respect in the scouting community, feel that way as well. Now, some higher than others, right? The best running back class ever. It's a very good class. All right. Next year, it's the worst running back class ever. We don't know. Not looking too great right now. Things change, right? What happens in the college football season if these guys go off next year? I mean, the Broncos got to get one. That's the point. Phil McLaughlin weighing in, our good friend over on Facebook. Lots of stars, guys. Your Facebook stars and super chats here on YouTube definitely help us keep the lights on as we march to the draft. Good evening, Luke, Tom, and Deacon Scott. If you got these choices at 51, would you take one? If so, choose Alvarez, Collins, Derek Harmon, or Kenneth Grant. Oh, man, we're getting second round. Tom,
I like Grant. I mean,
okay.
I think he's got a lot of potential. He's I think he's got a higher ceiling, but you got to figure out if he's, if he, I think there's some issues about whether he wants it bad enough or whether he's, got those character concerns or whatever it may be. I've heard rumors about, they've got to really interview him and check him out if I'm remembering correctly. So, but I think he's got a lot of potential, and he could be could be one of those that plays a lot better than his draft pick.
Yeah, maybe Bo wants his former teammate in Harmon here, right, out of Oregon. I don't know. It could go that way a little bit, right? With Grant, he's big, he's physical. I sometimes worry about the conditioning. I've heard some rumors there as well, but I love it. The Broncos country wants to improve on the defensive line, man, because you got to continue to develop these guys. You can't just be satisfied with excellent year from a Zach Allen, a very good year from a John Franklin Myers. I mean, you got to have guys in the hopper, so to speak, something the Broncos haven't done a great job of developing talent to replace aging players, to replace injured players. They're getting on the right track, something we've seen the last 2 years under Sean Payton. David Yonkin, circling back around. Appreciate you, David. 2 firsts and a second, maybe more to move up into the top 5. This year's first and next year's first. Okay. I would try very hard to keep that second round pick, maybe involve a player in that. Would you entertain, I don't know, Cortland Sutton?
Yeah, I don't think the team that is going to trade out of that spot would entertain it. I think anyone that's in a top 5 spot is going to ask for a heck of a lot more, and it's going to require more than what you would think to move up there. And if it's not for a quarterback, someone you think's going to be an elite quarterback that's going to lead your team for the next 15 years, I don't see why you would do it. And I get that you want a difference maker. I've been talking about it for over a year that they need a difference maker on offense, but it's just too much. You can't get rid of too many draft picks, because the other issue that the Broncos face is a lack of depth. And if they need to dig into their depth next year, they're going to be struggling, and they need those other draft picks outside the first round to build that depth to be more solid. When you're going down the stretch and you got a few injuries to actually make it back into the playoffs. So I would be really be hesitant to trade away a bunch of picks to move up that far in order to get a running back or any player other than an elite quarterback.
I don't know. What if the board falls a little bit differently? What if there's a run on quarterbacks? That happens every year. I'm not saying that there's, this huge pressing need where I think Jackson Dart is going to be a top 10 player. But man, what if Shedeur goes a lot earlier than we think he may go, right? Yep. I mean, you still hear the Giants poking around there. I wonder about the Raiders. It seems like each different day, different rumors come out with the Raiders. Their offense one day, defense the next. You have no clue really what the Raiders want to do there. I wonder what the Panthers think at quarterback position. If I'm being completely honest, there are all the rumors in the world that the Saints at 9 really like Jackson Dart. I mean, how long is he going to be around? Kind of a wild card, if you will. It's going to be interesting. David weighing back in. David Papa Bear waving back in. Jeanty, that would be the guy. Would love to draft Jeanty. Yeah, man. He's an animal. He's an absolute animal, and his popularity is insane. I don't know that there's going to be a slip of Ashton Jeanty, if you will, because everybody wants the next Saquon Barkley. All right. Everybody saw how productive the Eagles were with their offense this year on the ground, how the Ravens were on the ground. Buffalo Bills, James Cook, what's that future hold? I mean, these successful teams not only have mobile quarterbacks, but they do have running backs that are able to bail them out of trouble. They are able to help camouflage your weaknesses on the offensive line. I don't really care, actually, if I'm going to be honest. Tom, I guess I'd ask you this. If the Broncos traded up and gave everything away to get Ashton Jeanty, your grade is immediately a what? You're unhappy, you're frustrated, we're talking about it on the next show, and I'm sitting here going, yeah, man, Ashton Jeanty looks so goddamn good in orange and blue. We're going to keep it going. And you'd be like, hold up. The Broncos just screwed themselves for the next 3 years.
Like I said, there goes your depth. I mean, all those later picks that you needed to build your depth out, all the second, third rounders that are going to hopefully play their way into starting role, that's all gone over one player. And you think about it. Now, I know that there's a gap between Jeanty and, say, Henderson, but is it such a big gap that you're willing to trade everything to go up to get Jeanty if you could get Henderson and he could play a small amount worse than Jeanty would, but you still have 5 other picks that you're able to fill in? Who knows if one of those are going to pan out into another starter? I just think to trade away a bunch to go get him, I'm out. But if you got to move up from 20 to, like I said, 12 or 13, now we're talking that's the range that you're really starting to consider doing it, because it's not going to require that much to go get him. But to go up to 5 to get him, I'm out.
Man, speaking of out, I am out on an old day. Moving up to 1 and taking Abdul Carter. I love the troll, man. I love it. I'm here for all of it. Yeah, I'm ornery just like you. An old day. Appreciate you weighing in on the show here. Yeah, man. It's one of these things where there are a lot of good running backs in this draft, and I don't know, man. These guys are going to go a little earlier. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm ready to go get the stallion, and that stallion is Ashton Jeanty. Eric Flynn over on Facebook. Thank you so much, Eric, for tuning in to MHI every Wednesday night. We really, really appreciate your stars and your support. Let us know who you like, and we will make sure we shout you out. Yeah, lots of running backs. Amari and Hampton. He's another really. I think he's the second best running back. North Carolina. Broncos country sounds familiar, right? Another North Carolina running back. What would that look like? TreyVeyon Henderson from Ohio State is in the house. He's in Denver, Colorado, wrapping up visits as we speak. You also have Judkins, his teammate out of Ohio State, 6 foot, 221, not a bad runner in his own right. And then the Broncos hosted Caleb Johnson, Nick's boy out of Iowa. What was that, about a couple weeks ago? So, yeah, man, I mean, maybe the Broncos, they want to go tight end. That would bother me. You would be bothered if they traded up and gave up a boatload to go get Jeanty. A tight end would bother me, if I'm being honest, at 20, because, yeah, it's there, but it shouldn't be as pressing as it was, a month ago, 2 months ago, before you got Evan Ingram. There, I'm with you. First-round tight end or a first-round running back. Then you get Evan Ingram, and I'm like, okay, that pretty much check. Sounds like running backs to me in the first round. And then you hear some wild cards, like what, Kliss the other day, last week, talking about wide receiver. Are putting some smoke out there? Could the Broncos potentially be looking for another wide receiver? Do they want the little Speedy Gonzalez out of Texas, the young guy, Golden, right? It's just, it's the season of lies, and I don't know what to make of it, Tom. All I know is that it feels like there is such a huge gap between Ashton Jeanty and the rest of these running backs. And that's not to say that the rest of these running backs, Hampton, Henderson, Judkins, Johnson, could go on and on, that they're bad prospects. I just think Jeanty is that good. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind, like, go get him, right? It's fun to argue and show both sides of these arguments here on this show. But, man, this guy looks special to me. And Sean is all about being bold. He's about against the grain. He's about ruffling feathers. What if Sean Payton stood pat all last draft to go get his quarterback and he got everybody? He knows he can't stand pat. Other teams are coming for the same needs that the Denver Broncos have. And I'll be damned if Ashton Jeanty ends up with the Las Vegas Raiders and runs all over Vance Joseph's defense, Tom. Is that what you want, Tom? Country, you want the Raiders and Ashton Jeanty to run all over VJ's defense? You know they can't stop the run.
No, I absolutely do not want that. Here's a different scenario for you, Luke. So say he does stand pat and the running back that he wants drops. So say it's Henderson or Hampton or whatever. He misses out on the Jeanty sweepstakes. But the other thing that happens is that there's a run on quarterbacks and wide receivers get pushed back, and he trades up into the second round and gets a stud wide receiver. Now you got 2 impact players instead of trading everything for 1. Now that's something that you never know. That might happen if people, players start getting pushed down. So you've got to be a little flexible with the draft. I would love to have Jeanty in Broncos uniform. I just think that I think that they can get a good running back and hopefully a good wide receiver in the second round if they play their cards right and don't panic to go get one guy.
I call BS on you, Tom, because you say you love to have Ashton Jeanty here. Well, if you'd love to have him here, then you go and get him. You'd like for him to be here. It
Okay,
sounds to me like you've accepted that he won't be here, which makes sense, right? I mean, he's one of the most popular prospects in this draft. Some people are calling him the number 2, right? Behind Travis. And I don't know, man. That's what we're here for. Let us know what you think, Broncos country. It's Chase Wellner. I am with Thomas. Giving all that up really doesn't seem worth it. He really likes Jeanty as well. You guys see what I see. Genty's a special player, but you can't be reckless all the time. I hear you. This life is short. Be a little reckless every once in a while. F them picks a little bit, right? Adam Strange, Omarion Hampton at 20 before moving up. Yeah, Omarion's another really, really good prospect. And if somebody falls, just like our guy, our good friend Keith over on Facebook. What's up, Keith? Good to see you, man. Give me T-Mac when he falls to 20. Whoa! Give me that wide receiver that can replace Sutton in the future. Wow. Talk about a bold take. We got into this a little bit last week. Wide receiver. Is there any smoke? Is there any fire? What do you think Sean Payton feels about his current wide receiver corps, specifically T-Mac?
Well, I'll tell you, he seems to be downplaying wide receiver a lot, more than I would expect. Now, maybe he really does love it, but it's also one of those things that you keep talking about. Maybe it's a smoke screen. Maybe he really does want to go get himself a shiny new wide receiver that's going to, make that offensive, quarterbacking firepower that much better. But it's hard to say. He's hard to judge. But I've been talking about needing a wide receiver for a while, and I know that they keep talking about Valet and that Troy Franklin he could really ascend, and then you've got somebody on the practice squad, Perry, that he's supposed to be great too. But none of these folks have shown it. I mean, they've been okay, not great. And I know Valet was a rookie. Franklin was unreliable. So until they prove it, I'm not sold on this wide receiver group. They may surprise me, but I haven't seen the potential that they keep talking about from these guys. So for me, if they go wide receiver in round 1, I'm fine with it.
I think you, Keith, and I are a bunch of old men that like the old big, strong wide receivers that are athletic and dominant, right? And that's T-Mac to a T, right? 6'4", 6'5", 220, 225. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? Keith, I'm with you, man. Would I be upset if the Broncos drafted a first-round wide receiver? No, not at all. Like, you know why? Because it's an offensive need and you need to go offense. Do not get me wrong. There are plenty of areas to upgrade on this Broncos defense. But the Broncos have done a pretty good job in the offseason taking care of some of those. Now, I'm just as curious about the rest of Broncos country, how Dre Greenlaw's health is going to be. What's he going to look like in training camp? That's going to be the first test, right? Can big guy stay healthy through training camp? Can he be productive? Can he take command of this team like we think he can? Same with Hufanga. What's it look like on the backside there, playing with Brandon Jones? I'm really, really excited to see there. So you see the upgrades on defense. Wide receiver, I wouldn't be upset. Tight end, I'd be a little frustrated. Defense would probably be the thing that gets me upset, if I'm going to be honest, guys. I mean, and I'm a defensive guy, but you found your quarterback, right? I mean, like you said, Tom, me and you, Scott, we're all kicking it before the show starts. And Scott's like, hey, guys, you get to enjoy this draft a little bit. You're not desperate for a QB. And it's like, you know what? Hell yeah, we get to enjoy this draft a little bit. You got to take this pressure off of your young QB. What do you want to do? You want to ruin him here in year 2? You want to put the whole team on his back every single game? He's going to need help. He was playing with a busted back, right? Tons of injuries last year, and he still did pretty damn good. He's not always going to be as healthy as he was last season. Broncos country, we need to accept that. Neither is the offensive line, and I've got concerns about Luke Wattenberg. I talk about it all the time. Why the Broncos have not decided to upgrade the center position is beyond me. It is a glaring need that no one wants to talk about over there. And if I ever got backlit into the building, they don't like my questions very much. They don't like what I say on Twitter, right? I would ask Coach, how do you feel about the center position? Do you feel like your team can improve with the guys on it? Or do you continue to scour the draft and free agency looking for that guy? Luke Wattenberg is not that guy. Alex Forsythe is not that guy. You want to know how you supplement that? You got your fullback back in Michael Burton, right? He needs Ashton Jeanty behind him. You need a physical running back to get after it. Maybe you don't have to trade up. Maybe coach changes his mind and loves TreyVeyon Henderson. Remember, it was very interesting, Tom, at the scouting combine when the Broncos interviewed Ashton Jeanty. Sean Payton was not in the room. Why? I don't know. Biggest mystery here in the Mile High City. I don't know if he's playing silly little games. I don't know if he's hanging out with John Gruden that night. I don't know what Sean's doing, but Sean was not in that room. Now, I'd venture to say Sean Payton has had conversations with Ashton Jeanty's agent. He's been around. We saw him at the pro day, right? But little odd things like that. I wonder if it's gamesmanship from Sean Payton trying to stay away a little bit, or could he be wooed and won over by this captain from the national champion Ohio State team in TreyVeyon Henderson today here in Denver?
It's a good question. I mean, you don't know why he wasn't there. He was in the building. It's not like when Mike Shanahan never even talked to John Mobley. No scouts went out there. Nothing. I mean, nobody was. They didn't tip their hand at all, and then he drafted him. But everybody else was there, so it's not like they didn't show interest. So why he wasn't there is beyond me. I don't know who he thinks he's fooling if he's not there.
Well, I'm trying to fool myself, and David's right. Like, Luke, man, you're trying to talk yourself up into that trade. You're right, Dave. That's exactly it, man. I'm not there all the way. I'm not saying just do it. Just give everything up, right? That's ignorant. You can't do that. The Broncos have given up so much over the years, and it's taken some mile-high magic to even get them to this point. I mean, the football gods have looked down on them and smiled here and there. And for the Broncos to be where they're at, post Russell Wilson, post that disaster, they're starting to get some of that money off the books. But no, you guys are right. I mean, it's rich, and it's one of these things. Yeah, Pro 16 coming in here. We need a number one wide receiver too. I mean, arguable. I think Cortland Sutton's that guy. I'm not saying that's what I would do, but Bo and Cortland, they found something last year in just the one season, right? And it makes me curious about what they expect for year two. What's the future hold for Cortland Sutton? That's a conversation we have in this city, in this town, on this show. It feels like every year, right? And he's like the bad penny you just can't get rid of. Cortland had one of his best seasons of his entire career last year. I don't think Cortland wants to try to go anywhere else. I don't think he realizes that he may not be a top 10 guy anymore, and you're not going to get that top 10 money. Maybe there lies some of that problem. A first round wide receiver sure makes you feel a lot better about the future.
Well, and that's the issue. You got two issues. Number one, yes, he had his best season, but it wasn't this amazing season that you're like, whoa, Cortland Sutton, he finally got a good quarterback. Now he is a difference maker. So you're sitting there with Cortland Sutton, who's a good player, not a great player, not a difference maker, who's getting older. And you've got the second thing is you got to prepare for the future. Yeah, you might give him a couple year extension, but he's going to be gone relatively soon. He's not going to be around. You're not going to keep a good wide receiver, not a great wide receiver, for the next 5 years. So you've got to prepare for that at the very least. What I would really like to see is a true difference maker next to him, which would help Cortland Sutton be even better.
Ooh. Man, you're saying that would inspire the wide receiver corps. That would
take the pressure off of him. I mean, there's nobody else. I mean, who's the other wide receiver that they can ignore? That they have to, ignore Cortland Sutton for? There isn't one.
Well, this year, I mean, I would venture to say it should be Devon Vele. How about that? It should be Devon Vele. He's on no one's radar but the Broncos, right? They're like, man, we got a talented wide receiver. And some other teams probably like, yeah, he's got some talent. Call us when he becomes, a bona fide star. What if the expectations are there? You've got your slot speed demon in Marvin Mims. So I'm not buying we're going to draft a slot speedster, the Texas guy, Golden, right? I'm not buying that for a second. I think that is all smoke. An X wide receiver, maybe. It's got to be running back, Tom. It's got to be a first round running back. Now I'm starting to get a little frustrated if it would be a wide receiver. I mean, it's tough. And Jason weighing in, Sutton is a wide receiver 1. There aren't 32 wide receivers better than him. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, Jason, you could be right. I mean, I'm sure there are not 32 better wide receivers than him. What I'm saying is he is not great. He isn't that difference maker wide receiver that you really need to take this offense over the top. He's a good wide receiver, and I liked him from the very beginning. I like his aggressiveness towards the ball. I think that injury really stunted his growth, and now he's kind of at where he's going to be for the rest of his career. Wouldn't it be nice to have that difference maker alongside Sutton for a couple of years to really punch this offense to the next level? Obviously, they need a running back to do that as well, but that's why I'm saying if they went with wide receiver in round 1, I wouldn't be disappointed.
It's interesting when it's the seasonalized. You never know what's true, what's not. It's interesting to say the least. And Keith weighing back in. Look at the top 30 visits from last year. Broncos got Tyler Bidet. That's 1 for 30. And yeah, that's a good point. And sometimes there is some gamesmanship to that. Sometimes the board doesn't fall the way the teams want. In fact, that's a known. We know that's going to happen. As soon as those first top 10 picks go off the board, it's about anybody's game, right? At that point, it's interesting and it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking, right? But man, at least it's not the quarterback. I worry, Tom. I worry about this quarterback because I think Bo should have higher expectations, obviously, than he did last year. I think he should do better in a year 2 of Sean Payton's offense. But the running backs, they didn't do him any damn favors last year. And you like Jaleel McLaughlin. I like Jaleel McLaughlin. He is not your power running back. I am sick of seeing him between the tackles. It doesn't work. He gets ragdolled every time. Javonte Williams, I don't know if his knee wasn't in it. I don't know if his heart wasn't in it, or that's what that running back looks like now. But good luck in Dallas. Happy trails. Love Javonte when he was here. Maybe his replacement, right? North Carolina, Omarion Hampton. That's where the Broncos ultimately want to go. I don't know. I think running back helps you a lot more than wide receiver at this point in time. You have got to kill the clock. You do that with a running back. I think you see some vulnerabilities in the AFC West right now, specifically with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not saying they've fallen from the top of the king's throne, if you will, from the AFC West, but they've got some pressure. They've got the dogs nipping at their heels a little bit with the Chargers and the Broncos, who each made the playoffs in their own right? So the AFC West has gotten better. Now, I'm curious about the Raiders because obviously the Raiders have a huge influence here in what the Broncos could be doing. I still think, even though Geno Smith was added to the Raiders, I could still absolutely see a scenario where the Raiders draft Shedeur Sanders at 6. Tom, where do you think Shedor's going to go? Because this guy can go anywhere from 1 to 32 at this point in time. He's got some heat here in Colorado right now because I don't know if you saw, but Daddy's retiring his jersey up there at CU, Coach Prime, right? It was announced, a couple days ago that the University of Colorado announced Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter will have their jersey numbers retired during the spring game on April 19th. What's a 13-12 record for Shedeur? Something like that. I mean, didn't win the Heisman. What do you make of that? Because a lot of folks in Colorado and some draft scouts have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to one Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, that whole retiring the jersey thing is strange, but I don't really care about that. What I will say is there are several quarterback needy teams. Quarterbacks tend to get overdrafted, whether you think he's going to be a difference maker at the next level or not. He's the second best quarterback in this draft. I would be shocked if he drops out of the top 10. I'd be very shocked. So I think that someone's going to draft him early. And I actually think that someone like Jackson Dart, after that happens, might be completely overdrafted as well, like way too early. And it's just the way it goes with quarterbacks. There's 3 quarterbacks, 2 that are first rounds for sure, and then 3 that might be in the first round, and that's slim pickings. So teams are going to go at them early. So I don't see him slipping too far, unless for some reason his character concerns are way off the chart, more than I'm seeing from. I mean, I can see a little bit of a ego and a little bit, but I don't see anything terrible that would drop him completely out of the top 10 for some reason.
Nothing terrible, but a lot of cringeworthy moments, right? Like about a month ago, he was a rapper, right? And he's held these little concerts here in Boulder with the CU section or whatever. I don't know, kind of odd, right? But it's not the first time we've seen a pro athlete or a collegiate athlete do something like that. And hey, man, do your own thing, right? And teach their own kind of a thing. But it's odd a little bit when you've already got your own logo. That was a really odd thing for me, and I rooted for the Buffs. I hope they continue to do well, but I have a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth with the way things ultimately finished on the field. Now, when you look at the business side, holy cow, Coach Prime has just completely revitalized Boulder, Colorado. Now, it's not like Boulder, Colorado was ever hurting for money, folks, or anything like that, but there's a ton more jobs for college students up there on the hill right now. I used to live up there in Boulder, right? I know what that scene is like, and it sucked when I was up there for the football team when my wife was going to school there. It was brutal, absolutely brutal. Cody Hawkins was there, if memory serves, now that I'm thinking. So a long way from the original daddy-son duo of Dan Hawkins and Cody Hawkins to Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders. I hope Shedeur does well. There's just a lot of distraction. There's a lot of baggage, man. When you've got your own logo on your college jersey, that rubbed me the wrong way. Everything's legendary. It's rubs me the wrong way. If anyone's legendary, it's the man who should probably have his jersey retired, and Travis Hunter, right? This guy, he is so impressive, Tom. He's an impressive young man. I know a lot of people kind of dog him for his personal life and some things that go on with his partner, and I really don't care. His girlfriend, fiance, whatever. I really don't care. As long as you guys aren't getting in trouble, as long as there's no issues, whatever. Gossip's always going to be gossip. There's no way the Browns screw up and don't pick Travis, right? I mean, I kind of hope they do for Travis's sake, because Travis Hunter does not deserve to be a Cleveland Brown. No way, no how. However, what if the Cleveland Browns happen to draft a quarterback? It wouldn't be the first time they took a ringer on a first-round QB. What if they tried to talk themselves into a Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, I mean,
or Cam Ward.
That's what I say. Yeah, I keep saying like they're going to, there's a lot of quarterback needy teams and some that probably should be exploring a quarterback. That's why I think they're going to go early. And remember, Shedeur Sanders he's got a lot of flair going on, so to speak. But I mean, Neon Dion, he had all the flair back in the day too. It's just not all over social media. It's up in the Hall of Fame. So it's you can't knock him too much for that kind of stuff. I mean, he's not out there committing crimes and doing something terrible. Like he's Neon Dion's son, obviously, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he is probably going to be a pretty decent football player in the NFL. So you might want to take a shot at it.
He's got a lot of physical traits. I will say this: he has hard on the field. I've seen hard on the field, but I've also seen him give up on the field too. If I'm going to be honest, right? So I'm not going to build him into this warrior QB that I think he is. Let's just say this: I'm happy Bo is here in Denver. There was a time where I was projecting a worst case scenario last year, Tom, where the Broncos don't go quarterback. I would have been livid if Jarrett Stidham was the option, and then I had to wait all year to complain about Shedeur. I don't have to do that, right? We're out of there. Ralph Bracegirdle, another good friend over on Facebook Stars. We really appreciate you, Ralph. I am excited for the draft. I trust the Paytons to make us feel better. I'm excited for Bo Nix in year 2. Does that include Peyton Manning, the sheriff, as well? Obviously, George is in there. Sean's in there. I'm sure Sean's not bouncing ideas off of Peyton Manning. No connection there, really, right? Peyton's welcome anytime he wants. I'm sure Sean rolls out the red carpet for him. But yeah, George Payton and Sean Payton, man, they really deserve their flowers. They seem to work well together as a GM head coach tandem.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been pleasantly surprised with their drafts. And, like I said before, Sean Payton has a really good track record in drafting when he was at the Saints. So I expect it to continue here unless he's, for some reason, completely lost his mind when it comes to drafting, which I doubt. So I'm excited to see how, who they pick and how those pan out, because so far they've found some pretty darn good players, and they have the starters and all pros and Pro Bowl players that some of them weren't expected to be. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of those gems that they get in the later rounds, waiting for a year or two for them to pan out, which would be perfect timing for them to kind of round out this team.
Well, let's not dog the later round picks like you're telling me, right? Don't just give all those picks away, because that's where you can get some guys. You can get some steals. You can get some value. And clearly, Sean doesn't have a problem playing with young guys. I mean, he made that very clear this last season in the amount of rookies that either started from jump or got significant playing time throughout the season. I mean, it got to be pretty impressive. Yeah, it's exciting. I don't know where the Broncos are going to go. Like we always say, it's nerve-wracking. It's intriguing. You're curious. It's I don't know. Draft day memories. You always kind of remember where you were when the first round pick came in. You remember if you were happy, if you were upset, the overreactions, the underreactions. Sometimes those are fun to revisit as well. And guys, speaking of visiting, we are into our final segment. Now is the time to get all of your burning Broncos draft questions, off-season questions. We're here for it all. You're in the final segment of the show. 2-minute warning, so to speak. Let us know how you're feeling. Get those Facebook stars in, Super Chat stars. Remember, they bump you to the top of the line. Yonk, I agree with you. No Bronco running back should ever make a hype video. Yeah, no hype videos in general, right? Like, yeah, stay away from the videos, right? Like Suge Knight used to say back in the day, all up in the videos, then come to death row, right? It was against P. Diddy. So he knew back then. But no, I digress, man. This is important. The Broncos can't screw this up. We can debate about it. Running back, wide receiver. There's no way Sean goes defense here, right? Because I think two things are almost certain, as certain as they can be with Sean Payton, and they're this: an offensive player, and he's not trading down in the first round. Can we agree there, Tom?
I agree. When they re-signed DJ Jones, I think that kind of sealed the deal that they weren't going to take a defensive lineman in round one. From my perspective, now they still might if a great one just happens to be there, they could change their mind. But I think that kind of sealed the deal for an offensive player, either a running back or a wide receiver or something. But I know DJ Jones he's up there in age, and you got to find his replacement and all of that. I thought that they were ready to move on, but they didn't. So I think that kind of tipped their hand a little bit.
What you got against DJ Jones, Tom? I just don't get it. We do this every week, man. And like,
I have nothing against DJ Jones.
Stop it. You can't stand if you had it your way, you could have run DJ Jones out of town.
I like DJ Jones. I just don't think he's a huge difference maker. I think he's a solid player. He's just not a difference maker. And they could, if they could find one that's a difference maker on the, in that very middle of the defense, it's going to help them out a lot. But I think he's good enough to keep them from having to grab somebody in the first round to put along that defensive line.
Well, and to your point, right, you're looking for the big dogs like the Philadelphia Eagles D-line, right? That's what you're talking about, and I can't blame you. I want that too, right? But you do have to have some serviceable guys. I think DJ Jones and Malcolm Roach, those are your guys. I think you and I were both very surprised about Malcolm Roach last year. We were excited to see what he could do in training camp, and he turned some heads. Across the pond, weighing in, WJB, William James Baker, my guys, Luke and Thomas, hope y'all are doing well. Number one question, who is your number one pick? And if you trade back because your number one isn't there, how far are you going? And what do you want in return? Have a great day. The Broncos are not trading back in round one. I promise you that. Sean Payton, it's not who he is. I'm not saying it's what I would do. It's not who Sean Payton is. So let's just prepare yourselves for there. I don't know. I almost want to put a bet down that Sean Payton wouldn't trade back, Tom. That's how certain I'm feeling about that. You ran an analytics piece a few seasons back on it. I mean, go look at it, Broncos Country. Type it into the Google machine too. I mean, look at Sean Payton's first round draft history. The guy's bold. He's unpredictable. It's some of the reasons they don't like him, right? Some of the reasons people don't like me. You just never know what direction I'm going to go. Sean, man, he lives in his own parameters, and he marches to the beat of his own drum. And if he says, I'm going to do this, and everyone else, George, Walton Penner Ownership Group, Sean, are you sure? Sean, are you sure? Sean's probably, why are you asking me if I'm sure? I'm the boss of these Denver Broncos. You guys made me the boss, and this is what we're doing. I like that. You need a confident coach. Sometimes you can't just draft by committee. I know that's what George liked to do. I know that's what John liked to do. That is not what Sean Payton likes to do. Sean makes his picks, and he is trading up. It's Ashton Jeanty, Will. It is Ashton Jeanty. I think Sean is zeroing in on this guy. I think that the Broncos could be another first-round story this season. How about that? Bo Nix. That was a huge story last year, not only for the Broncos, but for the NFL. Sean sitting back and waiting, right? Yeah. I think you could definitely see an earth-shattering scenario where there's an early run on quarterbacks. Because of that, maybe, just maybe, the Broncos wiggle up to 8 or 9 if Ashton Jeanty's still there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't, I looked at his track record. I mean, there's always a chance that he could break that record and trade back, but he really doesn't. The only way I could see them trading back is if the board just completely fell the wrong way. Like it was the worst possible scenario. And they're like, all right, well, there's nobody here that we like. Let's trade back. I don't see that happening. I think there's going to be somebody there that they like. I would love to see Jeanty, but I don't think he's going to be there. So at this point, I think it's Hampton or Henderson, and and the reason why I want them to stay in that 20 spot or, maybe move up, not move out of round 1 is I've been saying it for a year. They need a true impact player on offense. They got themselves a quarterback now. They need a running back or a wide receiver who can make a difference on that offense. You find those in the first round. Yes, you can find them later, but it's much, much harder. You go get your guy in the first round and you be happy about it. You don't worry about, we could have had a couple extra draft picks later in the draft for some, maybe some solid starters down the road.
Get ready to change your mind. You ready? You put Garrett Bowles in the trade package scenario as well. Same with Cortland Sutton. The first this year and a first next year. That's it. You keep your second this year. You see if you can get going. And your guy, Alex Palczewski, is finally a starting offensive tackle for the Broncos, right? Because you're right, Tom. And as you guys are talking, and Todd's right, that's a lot of spaces to move up. And like your question to me should be, Luke, which player, your favorite player, Pat Surtain, you ready to give him up? And the answer is most definitely no, not for Ashton Jeanty. So I'm trying to rack my brain through the Broncos roster, right? And I'm trying to think of not players that we like, but players that have value. And it's kind of tough, if I'm being honest. And I'm not trying to dog a bunch of players, but it's guys I don't want to get rid of. What, you want to get rid of Nick Bonito? You want to trade Jonathan Cooper?
Not for a running back.
Hell no. Me neither. Cortland Sutton, if it gets us into the conversation, yeah, I'm in there. Let's talk. Tight end, you don't have one of those. You just got one off the street. So not a lot of value there. Garrett Bowles, I don't know what Garrett Bowles' value is. It's a lot less than it was 4 years ago when the Tennessee Titans wanted him. I can tell you that. So it's tough when you're looking at Brandon Jones. I don't want him to go anywhere on defense. I mean, it's hard.
Some of these people, though, like Garrett Bowles just signed a contract, so you're probably eating a bunch of dead money if you try and trade him, right? I'm not sure how it was structured, but they just signed him to an extension, so you got to take that into consideration too. You trade off somebody, you may be eating dead money. I just don't know who you've got, like you said, other than Patrick Surtain, who also signed a big contract. How much money are you going to be eating to go up and get a running back? I think you're trading draft picks for the most part if you're going to move up, but I just don't think I think you can move up maybe 8 spots, and that's about your limit. That's about as far as they're going to be able to go.
So you got them hovering just out of the top 10, so to speak. Man, and that's going to be expensive too, right? I mean, but Ashton Jeanty, so I talk about what a powerful runner he is, but we also have to remember pass catching means a lot to Sean Payton and Bo Nix, and something a lot of these running backs can do as well, right? When you look at Jeanty, Hampton, Henderson, Judkins, Johnson, they all have that ability, some more so than others, and I put Hampton and Jeanty ahead of that. A lot of folks like TreyVeyon Henderson. They should. I like TreyVeyon Henderson too. Some folks have him ranked as their number 2 and skipping Omari and Hampton, and that's up for debate. It all is. It's just so interesting, and it's fun to revisit these conversations because I was big on the Jerry Jeudy train coming out of Alabama. I thought he was the number 1 most talented wide receiver. I love them. I also liked CeeDee Lamb. I wasn't a big Henry Ruggs guy, but you start looking at that draft class and damn, I was wrong. Big time wrong, right? I mean, hell, maybe Jerry Jeudy, he still is the most talented. Can't work, can't put a season together. What, one out of Cleveland? Tell me how Jerry Jeudy does next year, okay? Like, it's just one of these things, man, where you could be really right or you could be really wrong, and it matters in the first round.
Absolutely. That's why all these poking and prodding and testing and everything that they do to try and figure that out. But even in the end, you don't know. The two things that for some reason, teams can't really understand is, are they going to have a good enough work ethic? Or that's one that they seem to miss on. And then the one they never know about is injury. So those are two things that create draft busts faster than a lack of talent.
Well, and hey, speaking of draft busts, I was going to ask you about my favorite draft bust that has yet to be announced. Caleb Williams, huh? You make a good old Caleb Williams. I don't know if you saw this story. Some of these tweets, man, like they're breaking news. I saw it over on X, and it was like, breaking: Caleb Williams used to cry after he lost games last year. I'm like, breaking? That's what Chicago Bears fans did every game they had to watch Caleb Williams play, right? I mean, it's just what are the Bears going to do? Why am I bringing up Caleb? Because I can't stand him at quarterback, first of all. Two, what do the Bears want? They interested in Ashton Jeanty? It sounds like it, right? I mean, how do you help your quarterback? That's the point, right? That's exactly what Chicago's looking at. How do we fix our first-round quarterback that looks like a bust? And in the Broncos case, how do we not screw up this first-round quarterback who has an upward trajectory in Bo Nix? It's not by allowing Bo Nix to continue to be your rusher. He did that out of necessity last year. You saw him calm down towards the end of the season. But, man, Sean Payton's kryptonite is the quarterback position because he cannot get out of his own way. He has to throw when he should run on first down every freaking series. Or if he is running it, the defense knows exactly what they're doing. Jaleel McLaughlin up the gut. Jaleel McLaughlin tackle handoff. I mean, these things have gotten predictable in the run game. Maybe Ashton Jeanty, he shatters that mold a little bit for Sean Payton. Maybe he forces Sean Payton to reinvent himself when it comes to calling a run game, because last year it just didn't look like the pieces fit. And I don't know where the young man from Notre Dame, right? What'd they call him? Little Jerome Baby Bus. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where Audric Estime ends up this year. Yeah. I mean, are we discounting Estime and it could be wide receiver? There's no way Sean Payton's going into this like, Audric Estime, that's my guy.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think he's happy with the running back crew. I think he's okay with it, but he didn't use them to, obviously they weren't good enough to make him confident in using them. He's got to go find one. And I think he's really interested in doing it in the first round. Now, if the draft board falls that way, he's going to get one. But, I think he's okay with grabbing some other position, but I think he's kind of sold on a running back in round one. If there's the one that he likes is available, even if he has to trade up a little bit. So I think running back is definitely high on his wish list.
Tom, do you believe in the Heisman curse on the way out?
Not really.
No.
I'm
feeling I'd feel a little more hesitant. I'm not superstitious. I'm kind of stitious. I'd feel a little more hesitant if Ashton Jeanty was the Heisman winner, but we don't have to deal with that with Hunter. Right, with Trav. I think Trav's going to be a great player. I don't necessarily buy into that as well. It's just kind of interesting, man, when you look at through history and you look at everyone's going to talk about Mr. Irrelevant too this next year, right? The final last piece. And Scott weighing in just on the tail end there about Audric Estime. Audric Estime being inactive in the playoffs against the Bills pretty much told us all we needed to know. Yeah, there was a lot of experimentation early on with Tyler Bidet too, right? And what if some of those injuries don't happen? What does the Broncos backfield look like? We're going to know, Tom. We're going to know in about a week. And next Wednesday will be a very fun show. We are the final pod before the draft kicks off. I'm looking forward to it. Another good show in the books. Welcome back, Scott. Tom, thanks for the great show in Broncos country. You brought it tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. It was good. I'm getting more pumped for the draft. I was feeling mock draft overload the last few weeks with everybody and their dog doing a mock draft. So now I'm getting pumped up. You got me all pumped up about the draft again. So I'm ready to go.
Hell yeah, we're getting there, baby. And Gene William with the buzzer beater here. I'm don't take Hampton at 20 kind of a person. We should take a best player available and get a few running backs later. Gene, that's the beauty in this whole thing, man. And, I see folks get after each other on X and it's hilarious, or on Facebook, and they're like, are you serious? There's no way the Broncos should take best player available. The beauty in having Sean Payton as your head coach, none of us have a clue what Sean wants to do. You know why? I don't think Sean knows what he wants to do yet either. I think he's kicking around some ideas. I think he's a tortured soul by his own admission. It's one of these things, man. That's the fun part. Insiders, right? Broncos insiders. You're on MHI, Mile High Inside. All these folks, they don't know. They don't know. Nothing gets out of that building. That used to be with other regimes, right? You'd get little trickles of information. You get little trickles of truth, and then some folks would take it and run with it. Feels like a fact. Ever since George Payton arrived, ever since Sean Payton got here to double down, nothing gets out of that building. It's under lock and key. So that's the beauty in it, Gene. We don't know which direction the Broncos are going. Hopefully it's further in the playoffs. Had a blast, Tom. Thanks.
Yeah, me too. It was good. I needed a little pick me up before the draft, like I said. So I'm ready to roll now. I can't wait for next week's show. We can talk a little bit about the draft the very next day.
The very next day, we are going to react. We have got you covered here at Mile High Huddle. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out the latest. Extra, read all about it. Keith Cummings has an Ashton Jeanty article up as we speak. Tom, go read it, and you'll be wanting to trade the house to go get Ashton Jeanty. I pretty much promise you there. Guys, we really appreciate all of the support here on Mile High Insiders. Make sure to give this stream a like on Facebook and over on YouTube. Leave us a review wherever you get this pod. We do appreciate anyone and everyone. Broncos country into the draft, just 1 week away, because this is the way.
This is the way.